North stings the corner. You know it's coming. You still can't stop it.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here. It's Tuesday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's the Lacrosse Rundown. I'm Charlotte North, and we're with ESPN's Jay Alter. We say it every week, but this is the highlight of our week. We love coming here and talking lacrosse with you guys. And we mentioned last week, just because college lacrosse has come to a close, and we're going to get to that today, there's a lot on deck. The lacrosse does not stop. I'm sure you guys are out there playing on the fields around the globe, and you're having fun doing so. So we can't wait to chat with you guys and break down everything that's happening in the world of lacrosse.
You know, Charlotte, a week removed, you almost appreciate how special that championship weekend was with the men and the women together, crowning a champion, us being there, having the great Hall of Fame Sheehan Stanward Birch on the show last week to recap what a fun year it was, and hearing from all of you, great feedback on what you thought was going to happen throughout this season, then what did happen. And Charlotte, we totally forgot last week, so I want to just start off with it. The winner of our grand prize, which had awesome participation from Omaha, Nebraska, Paige takes home the inaugural Lacrosse Rundown NCAA Tournament Challenge. So congratulations, Paige.
Shout out to Paige Myers. So we did, if you guys haven't seen the episode, or if you're new to this show, new to this community on Tuesday nights, we did a May Madness giveaway. So we know March Madness is a huge thing. The brackets that you fill out online for college basketball, men's and women's, and you enter a challenge. So we wanted to start something like that on the lacrosse front starting in May, as you get the tournament bracket on Selection Sunday, and you get to carve your own path. You write down all your predictions, but we did a special giveaway based on who in the comment section of our show right after the selection show predicted the 4 members of the Final Four and the ultimate eventual national champion. And Paige Myers, she guessed all 4 teams. She also guessed the 2 that were in the finals, and she guessed the winner in North Carolina. And Paige, her prize has already been sent to her. It is a Gate Whip 2 head, the head that I customized with Gate Lacrosse, the head that I use in competition. It was autographed, and it's headed to Paige. So I hope that Paige enjoys it, and I can't wait to have some more giveaways.
She definitely will, and that was such an awesome call by Paige. UNC over Northwestern. That specific call for the championship is what put Paige over the top. Another thing that I think college lacrosse does a really good job of, Charlotte, and it gives us certainly a lot of conversation throughout the year, is when they give their Player of the Year award, which is a Tewaaraton. A lot of people know that if you've been following the Lacrosse Rundown. And this year we kind of knew who it was going to be on the men's side, especially after CJ Kirst kind of finished with those 6 goals in the championship game for Cornell. On the women's side, this is as wide open as it has been in a long, long time. I looked at those 5 finalists up on the stage. I can't think of a better 5 finalists in the history of this award. Everybody on that stage, Charlotte, had a record-breaking season. It was incredible.
And it feels like the margins were so thin because of all the resumes. You look down the line, you've got Rachel Clark, who set a program record for goals in a season at Boston College. And she had an unbelievable season. The whole season, it felt like each game she was good for 7, 8, 9 goals a game. And she was alongside of some of the best attackers as well. And then you had Shea Dolce, who had statistically the best numbers that a goalkeeper has ever had in college lacrosse. So how do you argue with that? And then you've got the Humphrey sisters, both set NCAA records. Chloe Humphrey set the freshman scoring record, and then Ashley Humphrey, career assists record in the NCAA. So you've got 2 unbelievable resumes from the eventual national champion, and they led that #1 scoring offense all season long. And then you got Madison Taylor. You feel like you run out of records that were on the team. She set the single season goals record for the NCAA, finishing with 109. So quite literally, I think it was a close race, and you could make a case for all 5.
You totally could. And for me, like we posted last week, championship attendance for the Final Four in the championship game on the women's side. Records being broken all over the place. But this is the best example of the game growing. Those 5, because any other year, I think any of those 5 win it. I really do. I think on any given year, Shea Dolce could have won it. Any given year, Maddie Taylor certainly could have won it. I think any other year, Maddie Taylor wins it. And I think a lot of people We've read the comments. Thought that Natty Taylor still should have won it. I really think they got down to it. It was 50-50. It was both resumes to the committee were identical. So the tiebreaker was that North Carolina won the national championship. And
I also think that Chloe was playing the best lacrosse of her season at the end, at the Final Four. She had her best game of the season against Florida in that semifinal game. She erupted for 7 goals against Florida. She really gave the team a spark when they were down 4-2, and we talked about that last week. And then in the championship game, she threw numerous punches on the offensive end as well to swing momentum in her team's favor. So it was quite an impressive run. Congratulations to Chloe and to CJ, who won the Tewaaraton Award. It is such an honor. It is such a cool way that the sport of lacrosse celebrates the end of a season and celebrates the talent that sits within college lacrosse. And then they honor some of the legends of the game as well. The Gate brothers were honored, as well as the Rabel brothers. And it just pays so much respect to the history of the game, where the game has come from, where the game is now, and what these people who have been honored, what roles they serve in the sport, and how much they continue to do day in and day out to push the sport forward.
Hey, 25 years from now, it'll be the Humphrey sisters back there on that stage getting honored, right? And that's what makes this sport so special, is the rich tradition, and the Tewaaraton absolutely captures that. I wanted to make a comment. The similarities between Chloe and the Humphrey sisters and Chloe obviously winning it, and then the Kirst brothers and CJ winning it. Like, these are 2 players that are the product of, I think, their families, and I just think that's a beautiful thing in sports, when you can kind of put it together as a family. Like, all the players that came before you, right? Like, you look at CJ and his brothers, and then they finally get that storybook season with the national championship and the brother winning the Tewaaraton. Same with Chloe. Like, what Nicole has endured injury-wise, what Ashley has done throughout her career, and now for Chloe to be the first freshman ever on the men or women's side to take home that award. I said during the national championship broadcast, Chloe Humphrey is the future of the sport. And the future is here. And that's just so exciting.
So exciting. And how lucky are we as lacrosse fans to get to continue to watch her play and tear it up at the college level. So exciting. And I think you mentioned the way in which, these players become so much better when their siblings are pushing them in the backyard, and they push the boundaries of where they think they can even get to in the sport, because they have their siblings making them better and making them tougher and teaching them new things, not just about, the skills of lacrosse, but about how to be a good teammate and how to be a leader on your team. And you can see that in so many families in the lacrosse world. But the Kirst brothers, they transition into the pro ranks, and so many of them have had unbelievable careers so far in the PLL and continue to do so. And we're excited to see CJ play in the PLL, number 1 overall pick for the Water Dogs. Hasn't made his debut yet, but he will soon. And I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was reading this week that he played that championship game with an injured hand. So he's going to get surgery on that hand before he makes his PLL debut. 6 goals with an injured hand. Charlotte, I know you've toughed out some injuries, but that is a special performance, and again, a storybook ending to what has been an incredible season for that young man.
Insane. It makes it even more impressive, the run that he went on, especially throughout the playoffs, when he was banged up, and so many players are banged up at that time of the year. You start in February, you hope to be healthy and competing, but by the end of May, you hope to be one of those teams practicing and standing at the end of May. But you've got to work through the minor injuries and little things that come with being a top team and pushing yourself every single day. So it makes it that much more impressive that CJ was able to do that. And to see him be so two-handed, the way he scored those 6 goals in the championship game, none of them looked the same. A lot of them were equally as dominant with his right and left hand, and we saw that all season long. But it makes you just think he looked invincible throughout that stretch.
Okay, so the Tewaaraton gives the National Player of the Year. The Lacrosse Rundown is going to give Most Improved. We care about improvement, Charlotte. You don't need to be the best, but you just got to improve. And we felt, before we kind of put the college season in the rearview mirror, let's give some recognition to the programs that we felt took the biggest step forward, because we're always talking about who's the best. Well, you don't need to win the national championship to have a successful season. I felt we saw that throughout the year. So I'll let you lead off. One women's team and one men's team that you felt wins the Lacrosse Rundown Improvement Award.
I think you're spot on in the fact that there's only one team that's happy, quote unquote, satisfied at the end of the year, the one that wins it. But there are so many other storylines within the college lacrosse landscape to build on as years come down the line, and so many players that we're excited to continue to watch develop, and programs and new coaching staffs. And on the men's side, I'm going to go with North Carolina. I think the North Carolina Tar Heels took a huge jump from last year to this 2025 season. Although they lost in the first round, getting upset by Richmond, they had a tremendous run throughout the regular season that really showed growth. They have young players like Owen Duffy, Dom Petramala. They have Brady Wambach at the face-off, who dominated all season long. But it showed that they've improved significantly, and they can get those big wins in the ACC and out of conference to really bolster their resume. They earned a first-round home game at Dorrance Field this season, and I think that was a huge leap for them, and I'm excited to watch them continue to grow, particularly on the offensive end. If you like outside shooting, watch Dom Petramala play. He is one of the best shooters in the college game.
Context is everything. Coming into the year, quickly, Charlotte, the Tar Heels were not expected to win an ACC game. So they go from the basement of the ACC to, as you said, earning a top 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's a great pick.
Yeah, I mean, that is proving haters wrong for sure. On the women's side, I'm going to go, we talked on this show all year long about the Ivy League, and I know that you guys right now in the chat probably think I'm going to pick a team from the Ivy League, and you're right, because I think the Ivy League had its best season in a long, long time, but particularly I'm going with the Princeton Tigers. I think their offense was one of the most fun offenses to watch. They're flourishing under head coach Jen Cook. I think they ran the table in terms of their hard schedule this season, and to earn the regular season Ivy League title in a year when the Ivy League was so strong is so impressive to me. And then they went on to upset Johns Hopkins on the road after not getting a seed in the NCAA tournament, proving the haters wrong. But I think Mackenzie Blake, Haven Dora, and Jamie McDonald, those three on the offensive end were such a treat to watch. And I can't wait to see all that program continues to do.
It's funny that you picked Princeton, because I was going with the Hopkins women that they beat.
Okay.
Round game. And the wheels kind of fell off the bus with Ashley Mackin going down injured. And they did enough that the committee thought they earned that number 8 seed. And I think getting seeded in that top 8 teams is a significant step for this program. And I just think their body of work, their non-conference, the way the program is building, I just thought Johns Hopkins took a huge step forward. And I'm excited to see where the likes of Ava Angelo and kind of the young core that this team has takes this program, because I do think there is great tradition there. And I think they've got the right head coach there to take them forward in what is a competitive Big Ten. But I don't think we talked enough about what an improvement this year was for Johns Hopkins. And, at the time we were a little surprised they got that number 8 seed, but you look back, they earned it. They had a really, really strong non-conference. And, I'd love to see this season play out if Ashley Mackin never gets hurt. I think if she stays healthy throughout the entire year, maybe they're the 4th team at Gillette.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean, that's who I picked when we had our halfway point on this show throughout the spring season. That's who I had as the 4th team. And it's if you're a Hopkins fan, you're in a good place right now, and you got a lot to look forward to. And I think that win that they had in the Carrier Dome over Syracuse in March, that was a pivotal moment for their program. It felt like that was a statement for them, and they really believed that they belong in the conversation of that top 5, top 10 team in the country. And I'm excited. You mentioned the Big Ten landscape. It's a fun one to follow as we continue on into next season.
And on the men's side, I'm also going with an ACC school. I think you look at what Syracuse did
Yes.
In year 4 under Gary Gate, this was the year where people were thinking, okay, are they going to put it together? Are they going to put it together? And they made a huge step forward. Definitely the most improved team on the men's side, because you think about it, where they were before the ACC tournament, where everybody's doom and gloom, failure of a season, won't even make the NCAA tournament. And then with their backs against the wall, they win the ACC tournament. They roar back to beat Harvard in the first round. Then they upset Princeton to make their first championship weekend in 12 seasons. Huge step forward for Syracuse.
They beat a Notre Dame team that was a 2-time defending champion twice this season. I thought that Syracuse, had they not have run into a John Tillman coached Maryland team, I would have had them in the national championship after seeing what they did at the ACC tournament. I think you're spot on. But a bulk of their stars are juniors. So get ready for quite a final run up in Syracuse for those upcoming seniors.
And I think that's the thing, because the COVID years are starting to roll off and everything. Syracuse is going to be one of the more veteran teams at the start of next season. So I definitely think this step forward for them is definitely going to buoy their offseason. They've already been active in the transfer portal, picking up a good short stick defensive midfielder from Ohio State. So everything's moving in the right direction for the Orange.
You know, Gary Gate will have them ready to compete and get back to championship weekend. All right, as we say goodbye, farewell to the college season, I know it's a sad point for lacrosse fans because they don't know what's next and they don't know where to get their lacrosse fix. So other than coming to the lacrosse rundown on Tuesday nights at 8:00 to talk lacrosse, they've got the PLL to watch, which is awesome. It's year 7 of the Premier Lacrosse League, and that kicked off this past weekend with week 1 in Albany, New York. There are 8 teams in this league, and it's highly competitive. And all these stars from the college game are now playing together or against each other in the Premier Lacrosse League, which is awesome to watch if you're a fan. But Jay, what are your thoughts after week 1?
So my biggest thought was I was so excited to see the Kavanaugh brothers go at it. Chris Kavanaugh making his PLL debut after a great career with Notre Dame, going against his older brother, Pat Kavanaugh, who plays for Denver. And I was super excited for this matchup. A lot of people thought that Chris Kavanaugh, there was a reason he fell down the board. Like people I talked to, I don't think his game translates well. Well, he heard all the haters. 4-goal debut for Chris Kavanaugh. The Redwoods win, which is huge for that team, because I think they came in probably in the basement of the PLL. So a huge week 1 win for them under a new head coach. And Chris getting the better of Pat Kavanaugh. A lot of people did not see that coming. So that was an awesome game to see the brothers go at it in week 1 of the PLL.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That was one of my favorite games to watch. I think Chris Kavanaugh does such a good job of finding seams when he plays around really great dodgers. And he has some elite dodgers on this team that he can work around. Ryder Garnsey being one of them, his former coach at Notre Dame. And then they drafted Andrew McAdory from Duke. And he's one of the most explosive dodgers that we've seen in recent memory. And he's coming out of the box full head of steam, and he's drawing slides and double teams. And who else but Chris Kavanaugh stepping into a shooting lane with one of the best shots that we've seen. He's a right-handed dominant player. But check out some of these highlights from him, because he's got one of the best shots, and it's fun to watch. I'm excited to see that offense continue to progress as the season continues on throughout the summer. I got to mention the Boston Cannons, though, Jay.
Yes.
Shout out to our Boston fam. Boston versus New York in week 1 is quite a way to kick off the season. The ultimate rivalry. These two teams met at Champ Series, and definitely a very deep rivalry between these two programs. But it was so awesome seeing the Cannons back out there, and Will Manny, a face that we've missed at the professional landscape. He's back with Marcus Holman on attack. Will Manny, the lefty, Marcus, the righty. They're a fun duo to watch.
I'm glad you pointed that out, Charlie, because I had written down the greatest bromance in professional lacrosse is back. Will Manny, Marcus Holman. You forget Will Manny didn't play professional lacrosse last season. I don't know how that happened, because this guy is a bona fide stud, obviously super comfortable in the Holman system with their head coach, Brian Holman, obviously Marcus's father. I just felt like Boston, out of the 7 teams that competed this past weekend in Albany, Boston was clearly the best. I thought their chemistry, their offensive rhythm, it did not look like week 1 for Boston.
Yeah, it did not. And I think, honestly, my biggest takeaway on the whole was, are we in the best era for the position of goalkeeping at the professional level? And you mentioned Boston, they've got Colin Kirst, CJ's older brother, as their goalie. And he just consistently puts up ridiculous numbers. And it just feels like when the game's on the line, he comes up with save after save. And he plays a little bit of an unconventional style. Quint pointed it out actually on the sidelines, but it's remarkable to see. And then you've got the Atlas, the New York Atlas. They've got Liam Entenmann in cage. And we saw what he did at Notre Dame, 2-time national champ. But he may be even better than he was at the college level. And he's seeing more shots due to the shorter shot clock in the PLL. And then you got Blaze Reardon, who arguably has already created a resume that is worthy of the best goalkeeper of all time at the professional level. So I'm thinking right now, as an offensive-minded player, it is incredibly hard to score in this league.
Well, that's the crazy thing. Boston had 16 points. They could have had 25 if not for Liam Entenmann, who was great in that game, even in defeat. Blaze, you mentioned it. Like, Carolina Chaos might have a rough year because they're rebuilding under a new head coach, but not because of Blaze Reardon, who obviously is not just the best goalie this year, but probably the last decade in professional lacrosse. You know, one thing that I wanted to point out, you triggered it. The great Quint Kessenich. I mean, our colleague at ESPN, he was all over the place on that sideline. The weather was crazy. We got to roll the clip here because look at this guy. I mean, he's doing everything. Look, he looks like he could still get in the net, Charlotte.
Honestly, I think there's nobody having more fun out there than Quint Kessenich, and then the guys in the booth, obviously, Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra, Ryan Boyle. It's a treat as a lacrosse fan to get to hear them break down the games, but Quint is having so much fun, and I mean, you could just feel how much he loves lacrosse and loves telling these awesome stories around the professional game right now. And it's just such a seamless transition from the college game, from all you guys watching our show at home who love watching lacrosse, seeing all these stars and then seeing the stories connect through the professional ranks. It's just so cool.
Totally agreed. Charlotte, I know you've got the July 4th WLL All-Star game in Kansas City that you're looking forward to, but it's not just professional lacrosse on the men's and women's side that takes place this summer. It's a huge opportunity for international lacrosse. So everybody playing for their home country, obviously you representing Team USA. What are you going to be up to this summer? Because I know this is a huge, particularly in June, playing time for you.
Yeah, so we have U.S. tryouts. We have tryouts for the field and tryouts for sixes coming up. So I'm getting ready for that, which is awesome. Really excited to get down to Maryland and see everyone and get to go out there and compete. There's nothing like it. It is such an honor, and I am constantly feeling grateful that I get a chance to put the cleats on and go out there and compete in a tryout format. And it'll be exciting. You got the men's U20 World Championships this summer as well. So we had the women's U20 in Hong Kong a summer ago. So many of the college players that we highlighted this season at ESPN, they played on that U20 team in Hong Kong, won a gold medal. People like Shea Dolce, Shea Baker, Emma Muchnick, Madison Taylor, Emma Lapinto. The list goes on and on. So if you're a fan of college lacrosse on the men's side, you got to tune into the U20 men's World Championships, because I'm sure you guys will recognize some of those faces as well.
Is the Team USA tryout the most competitive lacrosse that you get to play in terms of intensity and talent all on one field?
Absolutely. I think it is quite the loaded group of players. I mean, it's just some of the games, all-time greats at every position you turn. And it's just to be able to be there and to be on the same field as those people. It's such an honor. I sometimes just pinch myself. So I am so fired up to get down there and get out on the field and start competing. But I'm lucky to be in the position that I'm in, and I'm really excited to get going on Monday.
If you've got a question for Charlotte as she gets ready to compete for Team USA, drop it in the chat. I'm going to pepper one more at you. Who's the defender right now for Team USA when you get matched up in a drill? You're like, okay, I know you gotta bring it every time, but this is the one that's really gonna challenge me.
I'm gonna stick with somebody I went against a lot in college, and that's Sydney Scales. I think I can't even tell you how many times we've gone at it 1v1 from the college game into now getting to train together. But she has some of the greatest 1v1 footwork that I've ever seen. So she's incredibly tough to beat. You guys, for those of you who did not watch Sydney play in college, she's a 2-time national champion at Boston College. She always took opposing teams' top matchups, and she just always found a way to contain her matchup and not necessarily need a slide or need a double team. She just always plays such great angles. So she's someone to look out for sure. But there are hundreds of great 1v1 defenders in our game. And that's what's amazing about the sport of lacrosse. You know, no matter if you play youth, if you play middle school, high school, you play club, you play in college, D1, D2, D3 club, you play professionally or internationally, there is constant talent that'll push you to get better at multiple things. But you always want to be able to compete against the best at their position that will expose your weaknesses and show you what you need to work on. And that's what's awesome about sports and about lacrosse, because it's a team sport and every position is very detailed and very different. And that's what makes it fun to break down with you guys as we watch lacrosse and we're in the lacrosse landscape, and then as a player to get out there and compete.
And earlier you mentioned the field format, which is 10v10 versus the sixes, which is 6v6, which if you watch the WLL championship series, that was sixes. We got to do a show sometime this summer on the Lacrosse Rundown. Breaking down all the different formats, all the different rules. That's the question I got the most with the game being on main ESPN, the college championship is, okay, what are all the rules? What version? Because this is different than what I watched in February. I'm like, that was sixes. So we got to do a full breakdown video on all the rules and all the formats, because it is hard to keep track of. I can't even imagine as a player how as a player it changes the way you approach a game when all the rules are different and there's different amount of players on the field.
Yeah, and then, you know, you throw in box lacrosse. Now you got 3 different disciplines, three different set of rules, and we as, you know, people who love the sport and want to grow the sport, we want to make it as easy to understand for new fans as possible. So we definitely will cover all the different disciplines, what goes into training for each one of the disciplines, what are the big things to think about when you're headed to a sixes event versus a field event versus a box event, for all you guys at home who are getting ready to compete this summer in different tournaments, maybe different showcases, different clinics, you name it. I'm sure you guys are also in the thick of it with different disciplines being played at different sorts of events. So we definitely will do a show on that. And Jay, that's a great point, because we actually wanted to preview some of the shows we have coming up for you guys. And we also want to know in the chat, when this video ends, go to the live tab of my YouTube channel so you can comment what topics you want us to cover in our upcoming shows. We've got some fun ones lined up, but we always want to hear from you guys, because you guys are the reason that we love coming to this show every Tuesday night and chatting with you, hearing what you guys want to know and want to talk about with us. So we're definitely going to hit on the disciplines of lacrosse. We're going to hit on recruiting. That's a big topic, of course, timely with the summer, with some of you guys being high school players, maybe with hopes and dreams to go on and play collegiate lacrosse and get recruited. Rule changes is something we briefly touched on, Jay, this spring, but that is a hot topic and ways we can continue to improve the game. That'll be one as well. What else? What am I missing, Jay?
Well, just growth of the game, right? Yeah. What are the ways that when you look at the future of this sport, what are the avenues where it can continue to grow? And I promise I won't get my hand slapped on the rule changes too hard. But that, I would say, rule changes go in hand, I think, with growth of the game, make it a more audience-friendly, viewer-friendly sport.
Yeah, for sure. And we have some fun interviews on deck as well. We're going to bring in some fun people in the lacrosse world, all across international, professional, and collegiate lacrosse. So we're going to cover it all. If there's anybody
you want to hear from, drop that in the chat as well. Because we aim to please. So if there's somebody you want to bring in, we'll try our best to make it happen.
Yeah, we see you guys. We hear you guys, and every week we know who the OGs are who show up and are always here in the chat and giving us great ideas, great questions, and great thoughts, honestly. So we hear you guys. We see you. We appreciate you. You guys are the original members of this special community as we continue to grow. So we can't thank you guys enough. It truly is. It's so fun because we love the sport, but we love talking about it with you guys even more. But before we wrap up, Jay, should we get to some questions?
Yeah, let's do it. Couple of questions here.
All right. We love when you guys drop questions as well, because they will always be featured in our live show. So when this video ends, again, you got to go to the live tab. You got to go to the video, drop a question, and it will be featured next week. All right. We got Madeline K. She asked, who had the best fans at championship weekend?
Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so Boston College had the best fans for that semifinal. That neon just takes over Gillette.
Yes.
And it's funny, I was talking to somebody else this week. If BC was in that championship game instead of Northwestern, I think there's 20,000 people there.
Yeah.
I think BC probably would bring an extra 5,000 to 6,000, and they already got just under 15,000 without BC in it.
Yeah.
So definitely BC. I thought all the fans showed up passionate. I kind of liked the neutral fans that just were there to watch some great lacrosse. They brought it. But BC, that neon just took over Gillette. And it was just a special semifinal day to have all four of those fan bases and just big time lacrosse fans there. The semifinal just felt like bigger than maybe past semifinals to me.
Yeah, I would agree. I think on the men's side, you got to go with Cornell. I think you see the sea of red that they had on that championship Monday. That was remarkable. And you could feel the energy from their fan section and from their alumni and everybody who just was along for the ride. It was remarkable. But I think you mentioned the fans that just didn't have any affiliation to any of those programs, who showed up to enjoy 4 days of unbelievable lacrosse, to see history in front of their eyes. It was quite the experience for a new fan to lacrosse, or just a local fan that maybe didn't know a lot about all 8 of those teams that were there on championship weekend, but they appreciate this sport at its highest level at the college game. And I think that was a win for the sport for sure, just seeing all those neutral fans. But great question. All right. Ava Lee 6467 said, you guys should do a show or a segment on all the seniors, 5th year, 6th years that are done playing collegiate lacrosse. Maybe just like the Final Four teams, sort of a preview of teams for next year. So farewell to some unbelievable greats. Jay, who's on that list for you?
Ashley Humphrey, Rachel Clark for sure, like 2 Tewaaraton finalists. What's incredible is 3 of those 5 will be back for another year. Yeah. But I think this does kind of mark the end of an era where the talent has stacked up because of redshirt years and COVID years, where next year seems like it'll be okay. Everyone's back to 4 or maybe 5th year seniors if you had a legitimate medical redshirt. Yeah. It does seem like the pile up this year. We had a lot of Ivies exercising that extra year, Ivy transfers using that final year of eligibility because the Ivies were delayed a year, whereas next year that's all out. We're finally done with the COVID years. You might have a 5th year because of a red shirt, but it does feel like we've been spoiled because of all the talent that had piled up, all the veterans that have given so much to this sport. And I really appreciate it, because I do feel like if you look at this last year, in kind of a bubble, I do feel like the sport moved forward. We've never had more talent, more depth, more competitive talent at the top than we had this year. And at the beginning of the show, I said it. I think it was exemplified by those 5 Tewaaraton finalists. I don't think we've ever had that much talent on one stage. And you just hope that wasn't a byproduct of the redshirt years and the COVID years, and that the game just keeps moving forward talent-wise. I do genuinely believe it is, and that 2 years from now we'll say, wow, that 5 was even better than the 5 from 2025 as the game continues to move forward. It just does feel like we're saying goodbye to some really special players. That's a great question, Ada Lee.
I know, and it's always sad to see those players that you love watching graduate, but it's so cool to see that they can continue their careers now, playing professionally, playing internationally, representing their countries. So it doesn't stop. If you're a fan of a certain player that was a senior and graduated, hopefully you can continue to watch them play. I think about Anna Brandt. I think about that Yale senior class in Fallon Vaughn, who led that ultimate class of leadership that created record-breaking seasons for the Bulldogs. You think about McKenna Davis, Emma Pinto for Boston College, who were alongside Rachel Clark. There are just so many talented players that we hope to continue to see play and leave their mark on the game. But you mentioned the growth of the skill. That comes from everybody continuing to push the boundaries and push the limits of what people think can be done in this sport. And so many of those players at the college game inspiring younger players to get out there and practice their skills and get better at something that maybe they didn't have in their toolbox, and go out there and really work hard to achieve their dreams. So it's sad. It's bittersweet, but it's also exciting to see where the game continues to go and to watch these players continue on. Someone also like Delaney Schweitzer, who had the best game of her career.
I was going to bring her up because someone commented it on our last episode, and it's so true. Like, to finish your college career with the best game of your life, 17 saves in a national championship
Crazy.
game. We know that her lacrosse days are not over because she's already been picked for the WLL All-Star game in July, and I think is going to have a long pro career. I do think, Charlotte, it's important to put into context. You said it so beautifully. Like, this is just the end of chapter 1 for these players, whereas 30 years ago, that was it. Maybe you stay around the game via coaching it and loving it, but not playing it. And now you have so many legitimate outlets to continue your lacrosse career on the field.
I know. And that's what's so exciting. And we can't wait to help bring that to you guys and help you guys find and see all the ways in which you can stay connected and continue to watch these players do their thing. And we'll always highlight them and talk about them here on this show because we're here to cover all lacrosse news, not just one or the other, one level, one discipline, one season. We're here to cover it all. So we really appreciate you guys joining us. And also, we had Mrs. Birch, the legendary Sheehan Stanwyck Birch, on the show a week ago. A really exciting YouTube video is dropping tomorrow at 5:00 Eastern time on this channel. And I can't wait for you guys to see it. Maybe a little behind the scenes of what it looks like when we actually call a game in the booth at the biggest stage of college lacrosse championship weekend. But this is a fun one. I can't wait for you guys to see it.
If you think we're crazy on Tuesday nights during the lacrosse rundown, wait till you see what we act like in the booth. It is so much fun. And you even got some shots of us like actually calling the game live, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be great.
It's going to be really cool. I can't wait for you guys to see it. For those of you who you hear the voices over the game, but maybe you don't see what's going on behind the scenes. I'm losing my mind. I'm throwing my hands. Mrs. Birch is like, relax when a goal happens or something cool goes on the field. We love it just as much as you guys do at home.
And Charlotte is closing in on 2,000 subscribers on the channel. So if you haven't already, subscribe. Join us every week on the Lacrosse Rundown because we are not stopping. We are keeping this going because lacrosse, look, it's a year-round thing. A lot of people lock in from February to May, and that's fine. We love that. But this
Hop on board
because we're not stopping.
Let's go. Thank you, guys. Jay mentioned it. Make sure you're subscribed. We love the OGs who keep coming back to the show. We appreciate you guys. We love talking with you guys. You guys are the reason that this is the best part of the week. So make sure you like this video. You comment when this video is over with a topic that you want to hear, a question you have for next week, or what you're doing in your lacrosse life right now, what you've got your eyes on. We'll make sure to feature it next week. But we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.